Hi, my name is Charlie Wolfsandel. I'm doing this tutorial as a class project for MS 587 at University of Advancing Technology. The purpose of the tutorial is to show some of the tags that are possible, and I'll be using the W3 Schools editor, which allows you to edit your HTML and see it directly. So that's what we'll use here. And what I'm going to use to show this is a quick bio about myself with the information on the tags I use. So the first thing we see here are the tags HTML, which determines the document type, the header, which is the head tag, title, page title. So we can put about me. Okay. And what I don't have in here right now, which I want, is a style tag. So this would be after the title, page title. Style tag allows you to use different styles to format your text different ways. Actually, we'll move it up here. And we'll come back to the style once we have our layout. And once we get into the body, I'm going to separate that for ease of reading. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this and I'm going to make it about myself. So I'm going to put my name. And just to make this go a little bit quicker, I'm just going to paste in the text that I've previously written. Okay, the next thing I'll do is we'll just see what that looks like right now. So it's still looking very plain. And the other thing we can do is for each different section, we can use the div tag. That's a division on the page. So we'll use the div class and we give it a name. And this is just going to be the first div. And so that's how we'll define that. And we have to make sure that we close it out. Okay, so nothing changes because the div is just a way of categorizing that. Now, we can now go up into the style section and we can actually use formatting to tell it what to render and what to make it look like. So I'm going to use the name that I used down below, which is first div. And we're going to use some items like putting a border around it. So we can use border. We'll make it 2 pixels. And we'll also have a red line around it. Okay, so let's see what we didn't do is I didn't close that one out, so I'll go ahead and do that. That's why it didn't work. Okay, I'm having an issue there. Let me try to paste it in. Oh, that's the problem. I did it all caps. There we go. So what we've done is we've created a new style for this first div. We've used a 2-pixel red outline. I've made a background color of light blue, and I've aligned the text to the center. So that's our first point, but I still want to add something in here, and I'm going to use the image tag to do that. So at this point, we will use image source equals, and we're going to put the source in there. We're going to give it an alt for what to display if it's not able to pull that up. And we're going to give it a size. The thing to be aware of on the size is if you give it a width and a height, it will force it to do that. And so you'll lose the aspect ratio on your image. In the case of only doing one, it'll size it appropriately and automatically size the other side. So I'm just grabbing the URL for the image we want to use, which will be this. So there we go. Now we have a UAT logo in there as well. So for our next section, okay, now that we've got that first div done, we can actually use our same style format. We can paste that again. We'll call this one second div. And instead of being light blue, we're going to make it light gray. And the text we're going to use, the nice thing about this is once we've done one, we can copy that div down and we can reuse it. So now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to call this next one second div. Now, if I change nothing, we should see the same thing, but it should show up in gray. And there we go. So now we're going to change a few different things. First of all, I don't want the title to be as large as it currently is. So what we're going to do is we're going to change that to an H3. And the sizes, those are levels of heading. H1 is the largest, and it progressively gets smaller as you decrease. This next section is not going to be my name. It's now going to be about me. And we're going to go ahead and get rid of that logo this time. And I'm going to put some text in there just like we did before. And the key here is the other thing that I'm using, which I haven't spoken about, are these line breaks. So every one of these BR tags is a break, and the P tag is paragraph, which shows that we're now using normal text and no longer using header. So if we run that, now I have that there. Now, what I don't like is the header is centered, which I want, but what I don't want is all the text to be centered. So what we can do in that is we've told it that the text is aligned to the center up here. In the H3 style, what we can do is we can just make that centered. So instead, I'm going to make everything left. So there it is. And in the title itself, I'm going to now make this centered by using a style that's going to override what we used up above. So we'll do style equals, there we go, and it's going to be text align. So it's the same that we used up above, which is text align. Center, there, and there. The big key is down here. We actually have to use quotations when it's in one of the other tags, whereas up here in the style, we don't have to do that. So there we go. Now we have a centered section. On the next one, I'm going to copy this down. And this is now the third div. I need to create another copy of this, call it third div. And just to keep things interesting, I'm going and alternating the colors, kind of like you would on maybe an Excel sheet or something like that. So, but it's called second div still. I didn't fix that. There we go. This should work. There we go. So now we have blue, gray, blue, and I don't want the same one or the same title. So now this section is going to be interests and hobbies. So although this shows up red, it still does work as normal text. And I'm going to go ahead and paste some text in here just to speed this section along. Okay, so I've got now interests and hobbies. I've got normal text as well. If for some reason we wanted to change the highlight, we could make this other section an H2. And we could see that it would get larger, but I'm going to actually keep this one right where it was at H3. Now the last section is going to be a little bit different, but we'll use the copy again. We'll call this fourth div. We're going to use a little bit larger of a tag for a header 2. And we're going to say tags I used. And now instead of a paragraph, we're going to use another special kind of tag, which is UL, or unordered list. And each of the pieces of the unordered list end up becoming bullets. And the way we get those items is they are LI is the tag, which is list item. So we will put the first one in just to see what it looks like. HTML, or sorry, not HTML, /li, and we'll go ahead and close that out. The other thing that we have to make sure is every time we use a tag, we need to close it out with the same tag with the / in front of it. So every time I use a div, I have to close out that div. We've used body up above, which closes out to body, and this last HTML is showing that the document has ended. What we didn't do yet is do our fourth div formatting. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And in this case, we're going to go back to light gray. And we'll go ahead and run that. Now, notice we've got a little bit larger of a header. It's the H2, not as big as the H1. Or sorry, yeah, not as big as H1, but a little bit bigger than the H3. And now that I have a list item, you can see that it gave me a bullet and it gave me those. Now, just for expediency, I'm going to go ahead and add the other list items that I've done. I'm going to go ahead and run that. And we'll talk about now the tags that we use. The HTML, which determines the type of document this is. The head tag, which is the header. I actually didn't put in, oh, there it is, title. I did use that. We use style in these different formatting using the borders, background colors, and text alignment. Body is the actual body of the document, which is kind of all the items we see here. The divs were the divisions of the document, so we split that into 4 divisions. The H1, H2, H3, those are all header sizes. So header 1 is the largest, 2 is next, and 3 is the smallest that we're using here. P is the paragraph tag, and once again you'll have P and then /P to close it. Unordered list and list item. We've mentioned it already, but these different items that you see in purple, those are attributes of the style. When they're used in here, they can be used without any quotations, with a semicolon between them. However, when we use them actually in a tag, we need to put the quotes around those, like this one here, this style with the quotations. One thing I didn't make very clear is when we're trying to call a specific type of div, we're defining the class up above, like first div, and down here, when we actually use the div tag, we can call it using this class attribute, which will pull any of the formatting that was done up here. So this has basically been an overview of how to do an HTML document from scratch, as well as what tags you can use. I would also mention that going to w3schools.com, they have all the HTML tags. I've used that a lot to find ones that I wasn't sure exactly how to do it. Additionally, there are advanced methods. Instead of putting all of my formatting in the HTML document, I'd probably prefer to put it into a CSS style sheet and reference it here. But this was to keep it simple. And obviously what we would do is we'd take this HTML document, we'd save it, we'd upload it to a server, and it would be housed somewhere where you could call this to see the website. So in this case, it's not a live website, it's just what it would look like. And I can just simply copy all of this, save it as an HTML, and use it again. So I hope this has been helpful. If there's any questions, please put them in the comments, and until next time.